Prince Harry at number 3. All right, who's gonna be number 2? Diddy made it at number 2. Wow, who's number 1?
World rankings don't lie, and this year's results are brutal. Meghan Markle sits at the top of the most hated celebrity list for 2025, above everyone. But while the internet tears her apart, Prince Harry is making a move that has royal watchers stunned. He's rushing back to the UK alone. The man who left everything for her is now returning to everything he left behind. Coincidence? Not even close. The marriage is in crisis. Let's dive in.
Who's number 1? Look at that. Who is that? It's Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex.
No, I mean, I think she's one of the most despicable people, frankly, on the planet.
We quickly learned, all of us, that Meghan is all talk and absolutely no walk.
The idea that Harry has never been to see his father-in-law is astonishing.
It all started with a video in Paris. Meghan drove through the streets near the Alma Tunnel, the same place where Princess Diana tragically died. People saw it and immediately recoiled. Was it coincidence? Most people didn't buy it. It seemed intentionally provocative, calculated to generate attention, and attention is exactly what it got, just not the kind anyone wanted. The backlash was instant and brutal.
Fast forward, a couple of weeks into her marriage, and everything started to go downhill pretty quickly.
But that wasn't the only blow. Shortly afterward, her estrangement from her father, Thomas Markle, dominated headlines. He had just lost a leg. Think about that. And Meghan's public claims of checking in on him didn't match what was reported. Letters misdirected, phone calls that never connected, excuses that didn't add up. People started asking hard questions.
No really humane person would ever behave towards a father, particularly one that had done so much for him.
Her relationships with journalists became a focal point. She had lucrative deals. Netflix, Spotify, Limonada, millions of dollars at stake. They all painted a picture of someone leveraging royal connections while staying distant from family. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. She criticized her father for speaking to the press, yet she was building an empire on media attention. The hypocrisy stung.
She is a super narcissist of cosmic proportions and an arch media manipulator herself.
But while Meghan faced the spotlight, Harry quietly disappeared from it. Once adored by the public, Harry's popularity began to decline sharply. Surveys that once showed him above even the late Queen Elizabeth II in popularity suddenly flipped. His approval ratings plummeted to levels no one anticipated. Rumors swirled through social media and royal commentary circles. People whispered that he was trapped, manipulated by Meghan, or even a hostage, as some commentators boldly called him.
I just think he's a innocent pawn in a way, not particularly innocent, but it's like a cat and a mouse. She plays with him like a cat plays with a mouse, and he can't get away.
But here's what really caught people's attention: his silence. Silence rarely goes unnoticed, especially when it's deafening. People began to question everything. His loyalty, his choices, the strain of the marriage itself. Was he happy? Was he free? The questions multiplied daily, and Harry offered no answers, just more silence. But what happened behind closed doors raised even more questions than his public absence.
Rumors are that they don't really live much together in the Montecito mansion. He lives somewhere down the road with somebody else.
Let's talk about Montecito, the mansion. The California dream. Sources suggest Harry and Meghan no longer live together full-time, not officially separated, but not exactly together either. Harry reportedly spends extended time elsewhere, in quiet spaces, away from the glitz and cameras, away from the constant performance that life with Meghan seemed to demand.
Captivated by her, and now he is utterly manipulated by her.
The carefully curated public image of a happy couple began to show cracks. Meghan's constant pursuit of media attention, combined with Harry's growing withdrawal, hinted at tension beneath the glossy headlines. They'd appear together for official photos, smiling and holding hands, but insiders suggested something else entirely was happening when the cameras turned off.
Everybody can see them for what they are. They're fake, they're phonies, they are absolute hypocrites over every single...
The real story wasn't just distance, it was the pressure building quietly, unseen by cameras but felt by everyone close to the situation. Staff members reportedly walked on eggshells, friends became scarce, the circle grew smaller and tighter. But the real shock wasn't distance, it was direction and where Harry's heart was pulling him. Despite the California lifestyle, the sunshine, the freedom, the escape from royal protocol, Harry felt a pull back to the UK, a gravitational force he couldn't ignore. Reports suggest it wasn't about politics or duty, at least not entirely. It was emotional gravity. Perhaps he missed family. Perhaps he missed old friends, the ones who knew him before everything changed. Perhaps he missed a sense of identity that got lost in the Montecito bubble. There's something about home, isn't there?
Buckingham Palace staff used to call him the hostage, because that's exactly what's happened to him. He's been taken hostage by her, kidnapped, if you like.
But the urgency of his trip wasn't just nostalgia. This wasn't a casual visit. Meghan's public image collapse made returning necessary, strategic even. He needed to rebuild crumbling bridges. He needed to show his face, prove his loyalty, remind people he still existed outside of Meghan's shadow. The timing was everything. But Meghan's backlash made that pressure impossible to ignore, and the reasons were piling up fast. By 2025, Meghan wasn't just disliked, she became a lightning rod for criticism worldwide. From London to Los Angeles, from Sydney to Singapore, the narrative turned completely.
How her brain works, she never considers failure, she doesn't have room for doubt. It all starts to add up and you go, no wonder you are such a failure.
Let's break it down. First, posting a video near the tunnel where Princess Diana died. People called it insensitive, exploitative, shocking. Millions recoiled. The comment sections exploded with anger. Second, the estrangement from Thomas Markle, especially after his leg amputation. The optics were devastating. Questions arose about her hypocrisy, selling stories, profiting from her royal connection, while criticizing her father for speaking to journalists. The double standard was glaring. Third, accusations of manipulative tendencies, leveraging royal status for profit, carefully controlling narratives, generating publicity at any cost, even when it hurt people she supposedly cared about. Fourth, what some described as embarrassment about her father's humble background. People noticed she seemed to want to rewrite her family story to fit her public persona. The self-made narrative didn't match reality.
The holidays are all about my family and all about nostalgia, and it's like, bitch, your father is lying in a hospital having just lost his leg. Do not talk to me about family.
And finally, emulating Princess Diana. The clothes, the poses, the humanitarian angles.
This is a woman who wore Princess Diana's perfume on the early dates with Prince Harry, but pretend.
Some saw homage. Most saw something else, blurring the line between honoring Diana and promoting herself in ways that felt calculated. But here's the thing nobody expected. It didn't stop with her. But the consequences landed hardest on one person who never asked for any of this. Once a beloved royal, the fun one, the rebel with a heart of gold, Harry's popularity nosedived. Commentators suggested he had become a hostage, manipulated by Meghan's relentless media strategy.
When he was younger, before he met her, he was one of the most popular members of the royal family.
Well, he was.
Rumors of separate living arrangements only fueled the narrative. People started to see him not as a partner in the marriage, but as a victim of it. He seemed trapped in a marriage that public sentiment now viewed as toxic. But escaping a narrative is so much harder than entering one, and Harry was learning that the hard way. Observers now describe the Montecito marriage as deeply unhappy. Not publicly, not officially, but privately, different story. Harry wants to return to the UK. He wants to reconnect with family, especially his father, King Charles. He wants to reclaim part of his former life, the pieces that got lost in the chaos. Sources say it's become almost an obsession, getting back, making amends, finding peace. Meghan, however, has no desire to return. The public disdain in Britain is palpable. The media frenzy surrounding her ensured that any joint appearance would be met with hostility and serious security concerns. She's not welcome there, and she knows it. So, they're stuck. Different continents calling them, different futures pulling them apart. Were they splitting up? Staying together for the kids? For the contracts? Nobody knew. But Harry's attempts to step back were complicated by the very woman whose public image was collapsing under its own weight. Even those who once sympathized with Harry began to lose patience. The goodwill evaporated. He's been criticized for perceived wimp-like behavior, for avoiding confrontation when it mattered, for failing to defend family members who had supported him for decades. People pointed to his treatment of the late Queen Elizabeth II in her final years, the way Prince Philip was affected by the drama, the strain on King Charles when he needed unity most. These weren't just minor slights. They were seen as fundamental betrayals. Observers cited misplaced priorities, putting public narrative above familial duty. Rumors suggest he regrets some choices, lies awake thinking about what he's lost. Yet he feels unable to break free. The guilt is there, the regret is there, but the path forward? Unclear. Harry's isolation now mirrors Meghan's public unpopularity, creating a feedback loop of tension and scrutiny. His silence makes her look worse, her controversies make him look trapped. Round and round it goes. But in the end, the stakes extend far beyond headlines and hot takes on social media. Behind closed doors, sources say Harry is quietly making plans, strategic returns to the UK, limited public appearances, carefully timed, measured engagement with family members, testing the waters. He's trying to rebuild what was broken. People want to know, is he making his own decisions, or is he still under Meghan's influence? The questions never stop. While the world debates who is at fault, Harry's own reputation continues to fade. Quietly, steadily. It's happening in parallel to Meghan's highly public collapse, but it's just as devastating. Maybe more so, because people expected better. The boy who walked behind his mother's coffin, the soldier who served his country, the prince who championed mental health. Where did he go? But the ending may already be writing itself, whether anyone's ready for it or not. The story doesn't close neatly. Real life rarely does, especially when it involves royalty, celebrity, and billions of watching eyes. But one truth lingers. The headlines tell only part of the story. What remains unseen is often the most compelling. The late-night conversations, the private regrets, the quiet moments of doubt that nobody photographs. For Harry, Meghan, and the royal family, the next chapter is uncertain, unwritten. And for you watching right now, the suspense continues, because some stories are too complex, too personal, and too deeply human to end in 2025. They'll carry forward, evolving in ways we can't predict. But we'll be watching, we always are. What do you think happens next? Drop your predictions in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive valuable, hit that subscribe button, because this story is far from over, and you won't want to miss what comes next.